Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Board of Selectmen meeting. Tonight is Tuesday, February 5th, 2019. If I could ask everyone to rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Do we have any amendments to the agenda tonight?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I would request an amendment that Mr. Minoyan's request at 8 o'clock be removed from the agenda and deferred to February 19th.
So moved.
Seconded? All in favor?
Aye.
Chris? Hi, how are you?
Nice to meet you, Chris.
Nice to meet you. Chair says hi. Now I'm going to remember that there's somebody else. Okay, so the
That's the only
amendment's
change.
been approved. It's so nice to see you again. You look great.
Thank you. It's been a while.
Okay, so agenda's approved. All right. And for announcements tonight, nomination papers for the Monday, April 22nd, 2019 Ayer annual town election are now available. The last day to request nomination papers is Friday, March 1st, 2019 at 12 p.m. The last day to submit nomination papers is Monday, March 4th, 2019 at 4 p.m. The following offices will be on the ballot: Assessor, Board of Health, Commissioner of Trust Funds, Constable, Library Trustees, Park Commissioner, Planning Board, Regional School District Committee, Selectmen, and Moderator. Nomination papers can be requested from and submitted to the Town Clerk's office. Okay, no other announcements? Okay. Anyone here for public input? Crickets, okay. All right, so we've got like 3 minutes before we can start the public hearing. Is there anything quick we can cover? Anybody got anything?
Madam Chair, there's always the minutes.
Oh, okay. So I wasn't here, but they looked grammatically correct. So
I did review them, had one minor change that I sent back to Carly.
Just a spelling.
okay.
Yeah. So I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for January 15th, 2019 as presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Chair says aye. Meeting minutes for January 15th, 2019 have been approved. And we got like 2 minutes.
Beautiful day.
It has been a beautiful day. Oh my God, wonderful. Yeah, I had my sunroof open. It was so nice. Tomorrow the temperature drops, so don't anybody get used to it.
Thank you.
Sure.
All right, we got about 1 more minute. We can't start a public hearing early. We can always start it a little bit late, but we cannot start it early.
Okay.
So we're almost there.
Real quick, I'll
Yes.
fill time. As some of you may know, there's some Jeff Thomas, Pat Kelly, the Bremer family run the NVUB basketball, baseball program in town. It's essentially a program for special needs kids. It starts at 11 a.m., runs to 2 p.m. on Saturdays. These people donate their time. The program's grown from 15 kids to, they have to run 3 sessions now, so maybe 90. If you ever have a chance, I know Mary came a few years ago. It's a great program. It's all donated time. Really, it's turned into be an amazing thing. There's a couple more weeks left, but I just wanted to thank them publicly, as I try to every year.
And where is that?
It starts at the high school at 11, and then because of scheduling, it's over. Jack's session is at 1 at Page Hilltop, so that's where we are. But, they do a great job, and like I said, it's just grown so much that they've had to stagger it into different sessions now.
What's the name of it?
NVUB, so Neshoba Valley Unlimited Basketball,
Okay, cool.
and that works for baseball too. They do that in the spring.
Well, thank you. All right. Mr. Clerk, if you would like to read the notice. Yeah, it's on page 2.
Page 2.
Or I have it right here.
That little public notice thing.
Yeah.
Everyone print a little larger next time, please. Thank you. The Ayer Board of Selectmen will be conducting a public hearing on Tuesday, February 5th, 2019 at 7:05 PM at the Ayer Town Hall, first floor meeting room, 1 Main Street, Ayer, Massachusetts, 01432, regarding an application by Ayer Vineyard Limited, doing business as The Vineyard, 63 Park Street, Ayer, Massachusetts, 01432, seeking a new license pursuant to Chapter 328 of the Acts of 2018 for an all-alcohol beverage package store off-premises license pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 138, Section 15.
Okay, the public hearing is now in session. So, as everyone remembers, at the Springtown meeting last year, there was an article to make the Vineyard an all-alcohol. It was approved at town meeting, now legislation has approved it, and now it's come by for the final signature. So, do we have any concerns, comments, questions?
Madam Chair, just to add, as the board is aware, in the packet, an interdepartmental review was sent to all departments. There were no objections to this proceeding, and as you mentioned, the state legislature has approved the petition as well from town meeting.
Right, and so after, if this was approved tonight, the next step is like a standard package. It gets sent to the ABCC, and then they do all the processing. Once we get the approval from them, then we'll type up the final license. So we wait to do that until the ABCC signs off on it, which takes roughly 6 weeks or so.
How does it work if the store is sold? Does it just
So
transfer
the
with
license stays with the building.
Stays with the building?
Yep.
Okay. May I ask are there any plans to sell the business?
I'm sorry?
Are there any plans to sell the business?
Not at this point, no.
Okay.
Mr. Diamond?
I have a question. Does this license change the equation for the number of recreational marijuana facilities allowed relative in component to, you know what I'm talking about?
Right, no, because we had specifically, when we did the recreational, and it was discussed at town meeting,
Yep.
it was specifically kept at 1, because as the future comes forward, it's always easy to add, but not reduce.
Yes, I
So, yeah, so totally two different conversations on this one.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Any other questions or concerns? Okay.
I guess it's just a concern, but it's not. I mean, I kind of supported this because of the owner. So I guess if it was to sell in a year, I'd be disappointed, but I'm just going off rumors I've heard. So that means nothing. I'm just saying that I guess it is what it is. It didn't make any sense, but I don't want to get into it, I guess. I approve the license I supported it because of Mr. Gendron.
Right, and I know
Yeah.
that the license, like if he couldn't take it to another street, it's
Right.
It
it's
stays with
solely
that,
for that.
yeah.
So it's solely for that, and as far as
So it's limited to
potentially
that building.
spelling, none of us know what could happen to
I mean-
ourselves in 60 days, so.
Right, so essentially, we have an extra license now. If he were to just turn it in, it couldn't be reissued, but he could sell it.
Mhm.
Um,
But the ABCC would still have to approve it.
Yeah, and you would too.
You're right.
Yep,
Okay.
exactly.
Okay. Any other questions?
I don't have any,
Okay.
thank you.
All right. Well, then I'll make the motion to approve the all alcohol license for the Vineyard as presented in the packet.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair says aye. Congratulations. It now goes to the next step.
Thank you.
I'm not out of here.
That was-
That's a short
All of us?
Yeah, always. Yeah, so we're good. I'll connect with you, Jeff, tomorrow
Okay.
before we send out the final packet.
That's fine.
Okay?
Yeah. I'll stop
We have
by
3
tomorrow.
days to do it, but I'll probably get it done tomorrow.
That'll be sometime after 1.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, great.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair says aye. The public hearing is now closed. All right. Mart, come on down.
Good evening.
Madam Chair, members of the Board of Selectmen, I'm pleased to report that MART has had a successful bid for the parking project, and the contract will be awarded. And I think that is very positive news. And I've asked Bruno Fisher, the Deputy Administrator from MART, to come before the board to sort of discuss next steps with the project as we move forward. Again, I think another major milestone has been accomplished with there being a viable bid. As the board is aware, this was the second time the project went out to bid. I've asked Mr. Fisher to just talk a little bit about the company that the bid's been awarded to, as well as sort of the next steps, and then any questions that the board may have as we move forward with the project.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So we did receive, as Robert said, there was 6 bidders, and 5 in a very tight range, and then one that was kind of a little bit off the reservation. But so the low bidder, which we have notified of the notice of award, was Hutter Construction. They're out of New Ipswich, New Hampshire, not very far over the border, and they actually do quite a bit of work. Our CFO actually knows of the company, and they actually do a lot of the Walmart. When they make them into super Walmarts, they do quite a few of those. They did the one in Orange, the one in Gardner, I believe the one out in Western Mass. They, very good company. We've been through all their paperwork. It was a project that has to have DCAM certification, which they do have and have had for quite some time. So we've done all of our research on them, and they appear to be a very good company. And so we did give a notice of award under our FTA funding, and the process is there's a 5-day appeal period, which ended yesterday, and so that's somebody can put in and say they thought they should have been awarded or whatever. So none of that was sent in. So in the meantime, we've our attorney for construction and projects like this, Miracle Connell out of Worcester, is actually drawing up a contract for Hutter Construction, and they've told us they will have it for us 2 weeks from tonight.
Hunter Construction? Hutter?
Hutter, Hutter.
And they're up at the hospital right now,
I
right?
believe they're actually up at your
Yeah.
hospital right now.
Yeah.
And so Robert, James, our CFO, James Sluss, has been in contact with them, let them know, that we're, we've given them notice of award and that we're working on a contract, and we told them the date that we probably would be getting the draft back, and we'll be going before then. So on the 19th, we'll be able to send them a draft of that agreement, and it's not quite the standard. Usually a lot of engineers use AIA forms, Architectural Institute of America, but that's got a lot of things in it that we don't really particularly care for, because it's more leans more towards benefits to contractors than the awarding authority. So it'll be based off that, but it'll be more based towards the RTA. But again, so I'm sure acceptable to the construction company. And so again, we'll give them a week or whatever time they need to do that, but they usually don't take very long. It's not going to be that far from a standard agreement, and so their attorney will go through it, and then assuming there's no revisions to be made, they'll be signing the contract, and we've kind of left it up to them as to when to start. I'm not sure. I think they kind of wanted to get a sense of just what they'd be looking at here. one thing to think about is that when we just did the resurfacing over at Depot Square, it had been kind of a rough grade and they couldn't really pave that, so they had to, the company that came in did some fine grading, and so in order to do that, they had to break it up a little bit, and so to do that, they actually had to take out 6 inches of frost already, and that was several weeks back before this really cold spell. So I'm guessing they may wait, a little bit till the weather, has thawed the ground a little bit more. But I mean, it sounds like they wanted to get going on it, and they're a big construction company, so I'm sure they have the equipment. So the sooner they want to get going, we're fine. We'll, the construction contract will be for 365 days. We're giving them a year, although they seem to think they might be able to finish in less time than that. But again, that's kind of what the contract was for. So next steps would be we get the contract back from our attorney, get it over to Hutter, and then again, assuming they don't have any heartburn with it, then they would be signing it and ready to go.
So my first question is, when the contract comes back signed, when will the shovel go into the ground?
I mean, we'll get, I think, we'll see that from Hutter. Again, they didn't want to commit to anything without even having a contract or anything yet. Again, I think they were just more worried about what the ground is like. But certainly as soon as we, as we get a contract here, as soon as we have talked with them, and again, I'm sure they'll be out here knowing that they're, going to be awarded the contract. They may be, starting to just poke around and see there. Again, I was just using that Depot Square as a reference that, 3 or so weeks ago, there was already 6 inches of frost.
Right. So let's just, hypothetical, contract signed,
think
everybody's happy, the ground is defrosted.
Yeah, I'm believing sometime in March they will be starting to do some construction. So I've already talked with George and myself. I've been talking. We do have, we're working in an agreement with the church down off of Shirley Road.
Right.
And to see about using that as during the week we could be donating money to them for use of their parking. So we pretty soon we'd want to start as soon as we know. Again, probably we're more than 30 days out now, but probably start putting notices up of that the parking lot will be closing. And again, we don't want to just put up an open date.
Right.
But I think we do want to just start letting people know that at some point here in probably March we will be closing the parking lot for the construction, so people get them used to knowing their other alternate parking.
Right.
Certainly we want to make them aware of this alternate parking we're working on, which it seems like the working with the church, they seem to be fine with it. So I'm sure we can have that agreement. It's pretty close to the same amount of parking that's here now. I think it's 80 or so spots.
Right.
So again, it's a little bit of a walk up the street here, but probably not much more than the far end of the parking lot, the current parking lot. But we do want to let people know that because it will be a little bit changed, and you have to a couple extra minutes to get to the Depot Square station.
Right. Chris?
Bruno, what do we have in store for Depot Square? I know you were trimming back.
So
talked.
really, I mean, what has been done in Depot Square is pretty much what you're going to get in Depot Square. However, in the meantime, we have talked with Robert, and we're trying to work on a meeting with Senator Eldridge and MassDOT to try to get some additional funding for that. We do have money we put in for this year's. They have this thing called the CIP. The Capital Improvement Plan, which is a big MassDOT document, and it's got highway and aeronautics and everything, so everything goes into the CIP. We did put, I think, about $350,000 in for this current year, and that was in which we generally get everything we ask for in that. We put in for that one. That's got the bathroom in it. It's got I think some the improvements to the surfacing or whatnot and the sidewalk. And I believe we were going to try to see if we could do some lighting out of that. Additionally, we're trying to see if MassDOT can, with some gentle nudging from the legislature, see if we can get them to kind of loosen up some more money.
The gentleman from MassDOT who called me, I think when we discussed this, was it October?
Yep.
They're aware, obviously.
Yes.
And you've spoken.
Yep. So to Bruno's point, so there's a $350,000 from the CIP, and then we're confident that with the meeting with Mass DOT, and to your point, probably at least initially another probably 200,000 is our goal initially from them on top of the 350, so that we can make Depot Square per the board with the bathrooms are required. but
The
also-
bathrooms are gonna be there, that is part of it,
Yes,
okay.
yeah, the bathrooms, the surfacing, the sidewalk, the
Sure.
lighting, but we do want to make other improvements there, obviously, and we will.
So, and, you know, so so again, I think we see what this meeting with MassDOT, you know, kind of bears for fruit. Certainly, I think going forward, you know, and normally what it is, you know, so all the other transit authorities across the state and, you know, the various airports and just the highway, you know, does its own thing, puts into this plan. I think, you know, for the future, we could certainly make a bigger request in that this, because every year it comes up the same time. I think we have to submit in October and November, and then it's still going through a process down at MassDOT, and then they usually approve it sometime in May. So we could certainly be putting in for money for a future year, and again, you know, we put in usually for match money for other projects we have, and in this case it was we wanted to do some for the air, you know, for air, but we could certainly be, it doesn't preclude us from putting in more money. I mean, certainly they have a finite amount of capital funds available, so you know, maybe that they try to trim this thing back or say, you know, which project would you want, this one or that one. Thing is, we haven't had a lot of extra federal money on there's not a lot of discretionary money that they give us, like in the past, for buses and different things, which again, they give us, we get 80% from the federal, like on this project, and then 20% from the state. There hasn't been a lot of federal money we have left over to spend. So putting it in for this project would probably be the kind of the way to go, because again, we don't have other projects we'd be asking for. So you know, we may be able to ask for more money, and I think to try to tailor the list to the things that have been left out, you know, like landscaping, like the shelters and that.
The MBTA still refusing to admit they have a train station over at the
No,
Depot Square?
they're admitting, and
Okay.
and that's another source that we will work with. They've made some of the interim improvements, and that's one of our other calls as well, especially on the shelter and commuter improvements.
And we've reached out to Senator Eldridge's office to facilitate this meeting, and it's not just MassDOT, it would be MassDOT and MBTA. They've agreed to it. We're just trying to work out logistics now, so.
And there is, I mean, not like it's a great source of, you know, brand new hope, but there is a new general manager of the T. The last gentleman, Mr. Ramirez, left, and I'm not sure he ever was fully engaged in everything, because I think he, you know, wasn't in transit before. He was in the private sector, and it didn't seem like. I mean, the letter, as you know, I mean, the board or through Robert wrote a letter, and you had to write a second letter to even get them to respond to the first letter. So
There was more than that, too.
yeah, so I think you know, this gentleman that's the general manager now actually served on this financial management control board, which seems to have done quite a bit towards improving the MBTA's performance, you know, and the way they spend money and the way they perform projects or whatever. So I think it's his name is Steve Poftik, and pretty well regarded. So I'm thinking if you guys take another run at that, and certainly we will assist with that. There may be a better chance. I mean, again, once they touch a station, if they do more than, I forget what the number is, but more than like a 10 or 20% improvement of the station, then it has to become fully compliant, which then gets into these full-length platforms and, you know, 800 feet, both sides of the tracks and all that. So it becomes, you know, $20-30 million improvement project. So, but I think there's a better chance of, I mean, pretty much everything we asked for here, they came back, well, we'd like to do that, but, you know, since that's somebody else's land, we can't help you resurface it, and we can't do this, we can't do the lighting, and because, you know, if we do it here, we'd have to do it somewhere else. And I mean, I think that was just kind of a standard private sector response, which is like, you know, it's your land, you can do whatever you want with it. And I think maybe there's a little bit better you know, feel this time for the gentleman that's there, that maybe going through Eldridge's office and trying to work a little more closely with them and say, you know, we're not looking for $35 million today to start improving it, but if you come take a look at the station or take a look at the pictures we can provide you with, you'll know what we mean, that this is a pretty poor excuse for a station. And you know, just the improvements of coming in there and putting some lighting and some landscaping, you know, may not improve the ability to get on there even with a wheelchair at this point, but it would certainly make the customer experience getting to the station and being able to, you know, sit comfortably and, you know, out of the elements or whatever. I think that would, you know, certainly be a big step in the right direction. And again, they may be able to kick some money towards that from their side without, again, asking them for $30 or $50 million. You know, $500,000 or $1 million may be a little more doable, and make a significant improvement out here. So,
So just a recap question. So the CIP program you requested for this year, 200,000 or
350.
350, okay. And do we have an estimate of how much that would cover on the project? Because we've been presented with what the project will look like, what it's going to include from the initial, before everything went out to bid. And now I guess if we're going to be taking a multi-tiered approach to funding it.
You will, and this is more across the street now, Depot Square, because
Yep.
so we
I
pulled
know,
Depot Square
yes.
out of the project.
Correct.
And so right now, the project is the full facility at, parking facility at the rail trail parking lot, and then the crossing. So we improving the crossing, and I think we added some pedestrian crossing lights and whatever, those kind of flashing beacons. So that's pretty much the project. So the money that we asked for in the CIP was for improvements over at the Depot Square side.
Right, but you had made a comment about requesting the 350 this year and then
Oh, and
being
future
able to go
ones.
back.
Well,
in
so I mean, I
multiple
think
years.
I think we'd sit with the board to figure out,
Okay.
you know, the priority of, you know, if they say 1 year, we,
Okay.
you know, we're
That-
willing
and that
to,
answers my question.
yeah, whatever
Okay.
X is, we certainly would sit with the board to be like, what would you rather? Would you rather have these improvements than those improvements? So the board would kind of, we leave it up to you as to what you'd like to see
All right, thank you.
first.
Yeah, to clarify, Bruno, sorry, Janice, everything over on the other side of the street, complete. There's nothing that was left out. That was all.
Well, originally, and we've actually since also gotten found some funding. So the pay stations, which obviously we want to make sure we're collecting revenue for the project, as well as the surveillance system.
Okay.
And we covered everything that the various departments asked for, which was not really very much. I mean, there was a couple items that I think the fire chief wanted that you know, added to the regular project. So from the departments that commented on the and Mr. Wetzel, everything that they wanted is already in.
Okay, great. Looking forward to it.
So lastly, Madam Chair, members of the board, so what we will do, as Bruno mentioned, is internally with the chiefs and so forth, we'll be meeting to put together the interim parking situation, and the board will be updated on that. We will obviously want to do some public outreach on that, and there'll be some internal challenges with that, but we will make it safe and successful on that. And then as we move forward, as before, once Hutter signs on, I've asked Mart to provide the town, obviously, with a construction schedule, and we would have periodic updates on that as well. And as we move forward, we're in the process of making arrangements for some of, when the earth removal for the parking deck in a town location to stage it would expedite it, because it's a tight spot. And we will move forward. We'll also keep the board updated on the additional funding as we move forward as well. But the intent and I was at the Mart Advisory Board, and the advisory board not only unanimously supports the Ayer project, but all three of the mayors had commented, as well as some of the towns there, in the spirit of this board, that we want a top-notch project, which we will get. And they're also committed. They understand the importance of the Depot Square piece of it. And the bathroom component is non-negotiable because it's a state requirement of the transfer, and we will get this done correctly.
Great. All right, anything else?
No, thank you.
Okay, well, thank you. We're looking forward to
pleasure.
it.
Thank
As
you.
Thanks,
we are.
Bruno.
Thanks, Bruno.
Have a great day. Thank you.
Good
Thanks, George.
vacation.
Thank you. Thank you, George.
Talk to you soon.
Yep.
All right, Dr. Malone,
Sure.
come on down. Nice to see you.
Nice seeing everybody. Thank you. Mr. Plunkett will be right along. Hello, Bryce. Hello, Mrs. Carson. Hello.
Take three.
You know. Oh, you
Thanks
don't
for
want
good
to-
reading.
Yeah.
Just put these here.
You're very welcome.
I go through the whole thing, Alan.
What did you say?
I said, we're not going to the thing, we said word for word.
Do you guys want to come down this way a little bit?
Oh, yeah, I forgot about free policies.
They're not gonna hold it.
No, okay.
Yeah.
Is the committee coming up or just talking along? Okay.
Thank you, Sarah.
So, just like last year, to advance the slides, just use the arrow key. Yeah. The thing is, our laser pointer doesn't work on the screen. But you can use, we have the mouse. Yeah. It is.
Oh, which one you want to hear?
Because the last time I saw you.
Yeah, I need to lose a few now, but
I
yeah.
don't think they're.
Yeah, 6 weeks.
Oh, I'm actually,
Yeah.
6 weeks of doing nothing.
yeah, but I'm actually going to see if she was like taking the last time.
Yeah. Yeah, probably, yeah. Things have got, it's been October.
Oh, no, I'm apparently, how are you?
It is February.
No, I think they're good. They don't even, yeah, so
I think it's good.
Mark,
Clear.
Smith, and Patrick. Huh? Yeah, oh yeah. So if, Mary, you need it, you can use the point up there,
Okay.
but you can advance it with the arrows.
Oh, right. Very good.
I know. When did that appear? Was that your last?
No, no.
7:30, I'm calling the Ayer Shirley Regional School Committee to order for a regular session to discuss the budget. Thank you.
Well, welcome everybody. Just, we got a whole crew.
Thank you, yes. Mary Malone, the school superintendent of the Ayer Shirley Regional School District, and William Plunkett, the director of finance for the Ayer Shirley Regional School District. And we have school committee members here, Cheryl Simmons, Michelle Granger, Jonathan DeForest, and Jim Quinty, assistant superintendent Charlie Clary.
Yes.
And Madam Chair, just for the record, we also have members of the Air Finance Committee, Mr. Diamond and Mr. Smith.
And welcome to the finance committee. Thank you for having us tonight. Okay, so we're here this evening to present the FY 2020 budget. I know you've all had a chance to review the budget in the PowerPoint presentation, and we'll move right through the presentation. Next slide, please. Our district vision. So I've been here 5 years, and we developed a district strategy plan. And 2019 was the actual expiration of the plan. And our vision was set many years ago, bolded as academic excellence, which we want for every single student to achieve at their greatest potential. Setting ambitious academic and personal goals. We all know how important goal setting is. We hope that through the years that students spend with us, that they learn through the support of their teachers and others to set ambitious academic and personal goals, goals beyond what they think is their reach. And then finally ensure that when we send students off at graduation, that they are ready to enter college without remediation or the world of work, whatever they may choose. Next slide. Our agenda this evening will be 3 parts: the FY20 budget, the assessments, and then take any questions that you may have. So district student enrollment, every year we have this slide in the presentation. I'll just bring your attention to the last column because I think that, all right, I don't know if I'm gonna.
Oh, you're upside down.
Okay, hold on. I'm used to a pointer. All right, if you could go to the last column, projected FY20, I think that's the most telling. Thank you, Bill. Of the district enrollment numbers, we have charter enrollment, Neshoba Tech, and then choice out and choice in. I think every year when I do the budget presentation, when I talk particularly about Neshoba Tech, that we understand and realize and encourage students who want to pursue a particular career path with Neshoba Tech, that that's where they should go, that that is their good fit. We just do not want students electing to go to Neshoba Tech or any other school because they do not think they're going to get an excellent education here in Ayer Shirley Regional School District. So looking at the charter numbers, change from FY15 to FY19. Overall in the district, we're down 32 students, and so that's good news. Students are electing to stay here with us. Neshoba Tech, over the years, down 5 in Ayer and 26 in Shirley. Overall decrease by 31 in the district. And then our choice out numbers, 133 in FY15, we're down to 112 students choicing out. A lot of those students are choice outs from, way back in elementary and middle school, and they just remain, of course, in the school they've now engaged in. So, but we're down 31 overall in the district since FY15. 21 in choicing out. And then choice in, we're up 9 from FY15. Next slide, please. Special education enrollment, when I started FY15, 22% of our students were identified needing special education services, which at the time we knew was higher than the state average substantially. And as of FY19, 17.2% of our students are receiving special education services. Looking at down to row 4, where it says out of district special education students, we were at 38 and now we have 33 students out of district. That is a significant number. As you know, we've showed you the range of costs for out of district. They can range anywhere from $33,000 to $250,000 per placement. And again, I will reiterate that, of course, if students need that out-of-district placement, then that's what they should get. So we do stand behind that. Right now, we only have 1 student in a residential placement. All of our out-of-district are day students. So I think that is, that's a good number. So we're keeping students in district, in their community, in their schools, for which the area they live in. Next one, please. The English language learners, we've remained pretty steady since I arrived in 14-15. We're about 68 students right now. And the highest number is at Page Hilltop. You'll see the 18-19 column. The reason why we have some highlights is we were waiting for the state numbers to do our comparison, but they haven't published them yet. So, but Page Hilltop is at 6.4% of their entire population are English learners because we have the beginner program there. So we only have 1 middle school and 1 high school, so both of those schools would offer a beginner program, which means that the students receive more time in English language development. But at the Page Hilltop, when you have more than 1 elementary, middle school, you have 1 site as for the beginners because of the amount of staffing and time the students need in English language development. Next slide, please. So I just talked about the special education out of district costs. Projected FY20, the range is 8.7% of the total budget, and the range is $33,900 to $288,000. So typically, the out of district placements every year they just go up between 9 and 10%, and we can expect that all districts, not just our district. So we always have to consider that when we're doing our budget. Next slide, please. These next 2 slides, I had sent Robin, and I think the board was aware that we participated in a public forum on Chapter 70 funding, and it was Ayer, Shirley, and Fitchburg, and Leominster, Clinton, Gardner, quite a few of central Mass towns. And the forum was to create a public awareness and support to change the Chapter 70 funding that was developed in 1993 and no longer adequately fund schools, especially in health insurance, special education, low-income English learners. So this slide here shows you, if you look at the first bar graph, that's our health insurance. So the foundation budget allocated $1.7 million for our health insurance costs, and we actually spent $3.8, which is a $2.1 million gap. And then the next bar graph is in special education, where the foundation budget provided 1.9, and we actually spent $6 million. So that's a $4.1 million gap. Some of the more urban, the Worcesters and those towns, I mean, the gap is it's millions. It's mind-boggling. And so to the right, you'll see what Ayer Shirley did to reduce costs, and I give credit to our teachers and parents who agreed to some of these, who made these concessions to lower health insurance, such as we changed health insurance plans and prescription drug coverages. We increased the health insurance copays and deductibles. In special education, every year I've talked about the continuum of SPED programs so that we can keep kids in district. So we're able to reduce our district placements, referrals to collaborative placements versus private day, I'll give credit to the special ed director working on that piece and her team. And then we're seeing an increase of students coming in with ASD and the autism spectrum, and so we're training some of our parents and teachers in what they call applied behavior analysis, so we're able to service kids in district. And the next slide just gives you the, this was the second slide that was in this presentation, the budget gaps in spending and in staffing. So what the foundation, the dark blue bar, is what the fund was provided for, but we actually spent less than what was provided for, because when you see the gaps in those other costs, you have to reallocate those funds to meet the needs of the students. So, and then on teacher professional development, most of our professional development is paid with grant money, Title II and Title I funds. And then the same thing with staffing. Non-special education teachers, we have a higher funding, but we have significantly more special education teachers than the foundation budget provides for. Any questions thus far? And now Mr. Plunkett.
Okay, thank you. This is our assumptions and projections worksheet. When we first started working on the budget, we identify our drivers, what we know we have to have in the budget, health insurance, salaries, utilities. The top section is the revenue, FY19 versus FY20 and the change, with a subtotal at the top. And the middle section is all of our drivers. I'd like to point out health insurance. We're bringing that over flat. We have $3.5 million in the budget for FY19. We're going to bring that over flat because even though we have a stable head count, we have 10 more retirees this year than we did last year. So they're paying at 50%. So we're realizing significant savings, and we're able to hold that flat at 3.5. We've done an estimate based on our 19 payments, and Maya is recommending or telling us we're going to be about 6.8%. They give us a range, and they're saying to plan on the higher end of the range, but that might even be a little bit lower, and it's much better than prior years, which have been double digits. So we're really very pleased about that. Retiree health insurance is up a little bit, about $43,000 because of the headcount change, and then we have some money in for utilities. We don't have any increases in electricity for the elementary schools and the high school because we have just started our net metering and we're receiving credits. So we think that's going to offset any increase for electricity in those buildings. Middle school is still on mass development, so that's out of our control. They won't accept the net metering program. We have some increases to transportation, regular, and because we're under contract, it's the second year, or that will be the third year of our contract. And sped transportation as well. So looking at the changes in revenue and our drivers, we still have about a positive balance of about $23,000, just under $24,000. But we also have a deficit or a change in our some of our revolving revenue with the governor's House 1 budget. The choice was way down, and circuit breaker is also down. So that could play out further in the budget process. Right now, we'll have to go through the House and the Senate and the committee, so we know that may change, but we're not sure what's going to happen in the end. So, any questions on the drivers?
The circuit breaker and the school choice, that was just the governor's budget, correct? Like you just said, that hasn't.
Actually, the circuit breaker is our estimate. That's
Okay.
based on 72%, our FY19, and that's at 72%. So that's subject to appropriation, so we don't know if we're going to get the 72% or not, but we're a lot of the correspondence we're seeing is saying it's going to be about 72%, so we're hoping for that.
Right, the maximum funding for circuit breaker is 75%, and so there's a real effort at the state level through superintendents and any elected officials to advocate for full funding with circuit breaker.
All right.
So these are just some examples, not examples, but they're actual increases to the budget and column enhancements. We're looking at social studies resources. We have new frameworks. And so the teachers right now are doing what we call unpacking the standards, and then they will be part of a team that selects the resources. And we're also looking at a new elementary math program. And we've been very fortunate over the last few years. We have a new ELA program at the middle school. We have a new math program at the middle school. At the high school, any of the books or things that they've requested, we've been able to provide. And we have a new literacy program at the elementary school, and we have a new science program K-8. So those are some new resources. We have a .5 preschool teacher in the budget. We see our enrollments in preschool increasing. We're going to establish an early childhood center next year, and so we're hoping that we'll have to add a .5 teacher. Right now, we run 2.5 sessions, so we have 2 full-time AM, PM sessions, and then 1 AM session. English language, each year that number fluctuates, so we do have money in the if we need a part-time teacher. Keyboards for K-2 iPads, we refer from teachers that students need to practice more rigorous keyboarding programs. A few years ago, ASAF in the school department partnered and we bought iPads for all K-2 classrooms. Each classroom has 4 iPads. So rather than buy new Chromebooks, which is a higher cost, we can buy keyboards for the iPads at $100 a piece. So we're going to do that. We need to buy some new Chromebook carts, and we'll redeploy those Chromebooks and those carts to classrooms in grades 3 to 5. The teachers have been asking to have Chromebooks in their classrooms. As you know, the MCAS assessment is all online now. Some special education increased costs. The interface, as you know, it would be split Shirley Ayer in the school department, $4,000. So we brought that into the budget. And we're going to be offering unified track, unified basketball, which is a sports program for students with disabilities. And our new athletic director, Steve Kendall, has brought that to the high school. We're very proud of it. We have a real increase our interest in middle school volleyball. So we're hiring a coach there. Our athletic trainer, who is a phenomenal addition, he's asked us to increase hours, so we provided for that. Some volleyball uniforms, Unified Sports is getting uniforms. We've also added some clerical help at each of the 3 elementary schools. In the last few years, we've added in during the summer. The schools can be very busy, lots of orders are coming in and so on and so forth, so each school is allotted $500 to work up those hours with their administrative assistant. The high school added a Panther block this year, which is a really neat enhancement. At the high school, they've asked for some supply money in that for advisory. The middle school and the Page Hilltop and Laura White asked for increases to furniture and supplies. And then in the district instruction, some of our Atlas Rubicon and some Teach Point and some of our online platforms have seen increases. And all told, equity and equality and continuing with our strategic plan initiatives, retention of all teaching positions, maintaining reasonable class sizes, and sustaining all current programming, those enhancements were about $253,000 or $254,000. Next slide. So superintendent always has a budget. Some of these things I had in last year, having a full-time technology teacher at Laura White, interventionists in ELA and math at hourly rates. We'd like to go 1-to-1 at the middle school, as we have done at the high school. We'd like to have a library media teacher at the middle school, a late bus, a .5 guidance director. Even though it's a small department, all departments need leaders that have their expertise in that department. Cameras at the middle school is something they've been asking for. We're looking to purchase a district digital system for safety so that we're able to talk among the 4 schools in both towns. And then we really need to focus on some social emotional learning supports. So that's $420,000. It's not in the budget. Those are things that we want to bring forward. Next slide, please.
I'm sorry, with social emotional supports, are you talking about an added position for a teacher or other?
Well, we're going to be doing some PD with staff on social emotional. When we think of social emotional, we think that in a deficit manner, but really social emotional learning is about building competencies in kids, building competencies of social responsibility and social awareness and good decision making. So we're looking at it from that perspective for all kids, all students.
This next slide is the history of the regional budget. The first row, I'll go all the way to the right-hand column. The general fund projected budget for FY20 is $28,979,947, which is a 2.3% increase over the prior year. Grants and revolving are staying pretty steady at 3.1 million, just over 3.1 million. And all funds, as opposed to last year, was 1.6% increase over the prior year. We back out our excluded debt, which is the high school project. That's allocated between Ayer and Shirley, that's the total. And then we subtract it from all the funds, and we get a 2.6% increase on that figure over last year. Breaking it down to the assessment piece, the same type of history. FY20, the projected assessment is $18,702,142, which is a net increase of $676,923, or 3.75%. And again, that is the total assessment to be allocated between Ayer and Shirley based on the regional agreement, which is still about 57.43%, with some fractions in there. This is our revenue for FY20 compared with last year. The House one budget from the governor did come out with his state aid numbers, and we are net from last year's numbers $191,000 lower at this point. The biggest piece of it is in school choice tuition. Very conservative number there from the governor. We'll have to keep an eye on that as we go through the different variations of the House and the Senate, as that may move as well. So this is where we stand right now, revenue this year versus last year for state aid. Excuse me. E&D history. This is the basically it's like free cash for the town. It's the balance that is basically left over in the appropriated budget, which can roll forward and certified each year when the financial statements are done, and then it expires or reverts back to zero on June 30th. So that's the only period that the school committee can use that money. Last year, after using $173,000 to lower the assessments to the towns, our balance in the E&D account, which will be the beginning balance for this year, is $1.374 million. And right now our documentation is in with the DOR, so it will be certified. We hope to hear from them soon. Foundation enrollment, a little bit different than district enrollment. This is all the students from Ayer and Shirley that go to school either with our district or the Neshoba Tech or charter out or choice out. So any students that we would be responsible for, these numbers drive the required local contribution. And you can see for Shirley, they have 757 students, require local contribution of $4,867,440, and then Ayer 980 students, which is an increase of 27 students, and the required local contribution, which is set by the state and plugged into our assessment formula, is $7,565,796. This is the Chapter 70 summary for the district. On the left side is the Chapter 70 contribution, and we only get the minimum $20 increase per student, even though the governor's budget did allow for $200 million extra in Chapter 70. We don't qualify for any additional, we just get the minimum, which is $20 per student. So we get an increase of Chapter 70 to $34,000. This top section here shows the calculation compared with last year, and you can see here is our increase to the required local contribution for the two towns is $539,812 for both towns. And it also shows you the net school spending, which they subtract Chapter 70 from, and that gives you the required local contribution total right there, $12,433,236 for both Ayer and Shirley. This is a visual down here, shows you foundation budget through FY17. You see a slight jump in 17 as they're trying to make corrections to that budget and the way it's calculated. And then the RLC, a slight trend up, and then Chapter 70 is pretty flat. This next slide takes it and divides it out. This is for Shirley, the Chapter 70 apportionment across Ayer, Shirley, and Neshoba Tech, because those are the two districts that Shirley students can go to that are calculated in the foundation budget. And top section is FY19 numbers versus FY20. And you can see Shirley is down 28 students for the district and 3 for Neshoba Tech. And their share of the required local contribution is 4.867440 for the district from Shirley, and that's an increase of 189,173. You add in their Neshoba Tech assessment, change in it, that's the increase of the Neshoba Tech assessment, and that's their total assessment for both districts. Same numbers for Ayer. Actually, Ayer has 27 students increase to the district and 3 increase to Neshoba Tech. So this, it drills down to the bottom. Here's the increase for the district, Ayer Shirley, of $350,639. You add in Neshoba Tech and you get the total required increase of the RLC for both districts. Any questions on those? Those are available on the Department of Ed website. You can also see Ayer's calculation. They bring in all the economic calculations for growth and income and all that good stuff. It's pretty intense. There's a lot to it. This slide shows the impact of the RLC. When I was plugging in the RLC to our assessment calculation, it actually lowered the net school spending above required local contribution for Ayer by $13,000. So it appears that the required local contribution has caught up and is making it so that Ayer is reaching where the state thinks they should be. And Shirley is also very close. They've only had a slight increase to their net school spending above required local contribution of $4,000. So the net effect of the RLC being applied attributable to the district is $82,196 above the RLC, with the increase for Ayer and $64,615 for Shirley. And the net school spending above RLC is also apportioned according to the regional agreement. The RLC is set by the state, but the net school spending above RLC, which is on page 2 of the budget, is by the regional agreement, which is foundation enrollment. And there's that 56.8, 43.2 from last year. And it's down, it's up a little bit for Shirley for this year, 43.4. But that's a 5-year rolling average too, so it kind of flattens it out, so you don't see any spikes. And finally, we roll those numbers into the assessment slide that you've seen before. We have our total assessment, operating assessment of $18,702,142, an increase of $676,923, 3.75% increase, of which $539,812 was the RLC as set by the state. We had a net decrease to net school spending above by $9,700 and a net impact of $530,112 net impact of the RLC. Ayer's apportionment of the assessment operating is $11,113,083, an increase of $419,092, which is 3.9% above last year. And the numbers that we saw on that previous slide are underneath again. And Shirley's assessment is $7,589,059, which is an increase of $257,831 and a 3.5% increase over last year.
Is Siri gonna talk?
Go on there.
And now we're happy to take any questions or any feedback that you have for us.
Yep, go ahead.
Is there any benefit to having the school resource officer under the school budget as opposed to the police department's budget? I know I discussed this with Chief Murray a few years ago, and just if it gave more flexibility, or I'm not asking you to take on more spending. I'm just, I just don't know if it made more sense for the district itself to utilize the position more.
The only thing I would question, or the first thing that comes to mind for me would be supervision. I don't know if we could provide that.
No, and I think it would still fall under Chief Murray. I know a few other towns locally that have it, do it through their school, and they recommended, just speaking with them casually about it, so that it worked better for the school. Because it gave you more, obviously we're not a huge district, so we don't have 10 other schools, but I was just curious if that's ever been thought about.
So my first thought would be to contact some districts that have that model and ask them what the advantages are and how it works for them. So what were the districts that you were talking about?
Littleton has it under theirs, and I believe Acton as well has it through their school budget.
Great, good place to start, so we'll look into that. Good question.
Okay. I mean, I know that she does a great job, and the chief is very good about.
Oh, yeah, right.
She's all over the place, but I just didn't know if there would be any benefit to either department.
Sure.
Well, I don't have a question on the operating budget, but I was wondering, I know over the years we talked about trying to sync up capital budgets between the school and the town. Is there a capital budget with like a 3 to 5 year look that we could start discussing?
Actually, that's great timing. So we're looking at, as the district strategic plan, we're also looking at renewing our capital plan. So it may be something that we would like to work together on. I just spoke to Mr. Plunkett and Mr. Briggs about, that's why it's not in this budget book that you have now, because it was a 3-year plan that we've accomplished a lot of that. So we need to look at that 3-year. Okay? So we'll get in touch with just the chair or whoever to work on that. Sure. Okay. Thank you.
I have no questions on that. So I'll ask the next question. Field project update?
The field project update. So right now, the school committee, we're looking at soliciting a quote from SMMA to go out and get actual costs for the project in the master plan that was presented. So as you know, the figure that was given at the time was a magnitude of cost, so that would be the most any element of that project would cost. So we're going to go back out and see what would be the actual cost if we were to start work right away. So we're hoping to have a proposal to bring to school committee at the next meeting, which is Tuesday, February 12th.
Okay.
So we're still looking at it, and we know that we have things that we have to do up there. For
Right.
sure. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
No, that's all I had. I guess the one thing I'll add just on the capital, which I know we'll work on in the near future, is there's a lot of questions around town regarding the elementary school here in here. So I'd like to try and get that at least on the radar for discussions shortly.
Sure.
Anybody else?
Well, I
Thank you
really
very much.
appreciate your time this evening. Thank you very
Thanks,
much. The
everyone.
Board of Selectmen and the FinCom, we appreciate it.
And the school
To our
committee?
school reporter, Bryce Valier, we appreciate it. I look forward to the report. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Nice to
We
see
do
you.
too. We love them. We love them when we
I
see them
know, what a
also.
great idea.
Yes.
Selectman Hillman.
Yeah, it's worked very well.
Yeah, really good.
It has worked out.
Yeah.
Good job, Bryce.
All right. Thank you very much.
What's that?
Friday, that reporter got shirtless.
Oh, he's leaving? He lasted long. We talked to him once, and he's like, well, this is my opinion. I said, that's not how this works.
Give everybody a moment. Just get down. Come on down. Just
Good evening, everyone.
give give a moment for the crowd to clear a little bit so we'll be able to hear you.
Sure.
Dan, I'll give you one.
Hi, Dan.
How you doing?
Oh, thank you.
Pretty good. Not as good as Mark.
I think I got it now.
I have that for them to sign when you're ready, when we get to it.
Okay.
All right, Dan.
All set?
All
Okay. All right, so I have 4 items tonight, and the first one is the award of the highway storage garage bid. So in my memorandum, I explained that we received 7 bids on January 25th, and they ranged from $746,600 to $964,000. The low bidder is Nadu Corporation from South Attleboro, Mass. And we reviewed his references and paperwork, and he checks out as a very good contractor. So everyone, all the references we talked to recommended they'd work with him again in the future. So so everything seems to check out. So I recommend awarding the contract to Nadu Corp, and that would be for a signature by the chair. And just a little background, this was a rebid. We did bid the project last year, but the bidding climate was really tough. It was kind of the same time we bid the Parks Path project, and that one came in above budget. So we went back, changed a little bit of our, who was doing what in the scope, doing a little bit of some of the site work in-house, and so we were able to get it within our budget.
The budget was 8, is that what was
It's
appropriated?
7.
No, I mean, this is the bid, but was it originally 800?
750.
750, okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's good.
Any questions?
No,
No? Okay.
you got, oh,
It's up to you.
I'd love to. I would like to make a motion to accept the bid by the Nadu Corporation of 727 Washington Street, South Attleboro, Mass. For the construction of the DPW storage building as outlined by the town engineer. I was going to say superintendent. The signature by the chair.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair says aye. Motion approved.
Timing on that, Dan? I mean, spring?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it'll be spring. We'll get going in the spring.
Right.
And I have the next one.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's actually for agenda item 3, but
Oh, okay.
that's okay, we'll keep it up. So agenda item 2 is an update to our traffic regulations, which the police department has. So I was working with Chief Murray on a separate item, and we realized that in the traffic regulations, we were missing a list of one-way streets. There was a placeholder for the list, but there was none actually listed in there. So this is a little administrative cleanup. So in the packet, I included a list of the one-way streets in town, which which I'd like to add to the traffic regulations. So it requires a Board of Selectmen vote, so that's the agenda item here. And I wrote down in the memo the requested motion.
Okay. Any questions?
No.
All right, I'll make the motion that the Board of Selectmen amend the traffic regulations of the Town of Ayer adopted on May 23rd, 1939, and effective on July 10th, 1939, by adding to Article 7, one-way streets, the list of existing one-way streets included in the packet.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair says aye.
Good thing it only took 80 years to vote on it.
We don't like to rush things.
Now we have to send that to general code.
I know.
I have a note.
Oh.
Okay.
I wasn't sure for a second there if I was reading a typo. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
that says 1939.
So the third agenda item is also involving one-way streets. So you know we're currently working on Prospect Street and Oak Street for reconstruction this year. We have a CDBG grant award.
Right.
We're actually going to be bidding the project. It's advertising tomorrow, and we'll open the bids at the end of this month. So as part of the design work, we looked at what we could do on Prospect Street
behind the courthouse area and how we could kind of make it a little better, because right now there's a lot of public safety issues with the parking out there on the sidewalk.
It's awful during the day. I mean, when you get all the police officers in for court and stuff like that. I mean, it's,
Yeah.
I
Right.
just happened to be back there for work a few weeks ago. I was kind of taken aback
Yeah,
how
so-
busy it is.
Yeah, so, and there's also prisoner drop-off back there too, so you gotta kind of take that into account for
Mhm.
public safety. So we had a public meeting on November 26th, and it was a neighborhood meeting at the local church, and they were pretty receptive and favorable to making a one-way from Prospect Street, on Prospect Street between School and Elm, so in the westbound direction. So where Carly is showing right now. And what that would give us is it would allow us to have legitimate on-street parking signage for that. And also the courthouse would like to have a sally port, which is an area to drop off the prisoners, and it'll be a gated area so that the prisoners don't think about running away.
I like that.
Yeah, so we can create room for that in our design if we make it a one-way, because then we get more right-of-way to use, to add a little bump out for our driveway and a sally port area, and then also the parking on one side of the road. So, oh yeah, thanks Carly. So this is kind of the design here. This is a draft version, but you can see School Street's on the right and Elm Street on the left. This is Prospect Street, so the one way would be westbound, and we would add a kind of a sort of a bump out, but it's more of a driveway in and out for the corrections officer vehicles.
Right
Yeah,
there.
right there. And then the courthouse they would add the sally port themselves. We would just kind of bump our sidewalk out and add a driveway for the and then we'd have parking to the west of that on street on the north side. So, yeah, like I was saying, the public meeting went well. The residents were favorable toward having the one-way. I also spoke to Community Economic Development, Alan, and he said it would be a good idea, also the police chief. And someone else I wanted to mention. Oh, and also the courthouse. We met with the courthouse on November 1st, and we showed them a concept pretty similar to this one. It was actually this one without the sally port, and also making it a one-way to have additional parking. And they requested to add the sally port, but they were in favor of having the one-way and the parking. So
They in favor of giving us any money?
we didn't talk about that, but.
Okay.
Yeah. But, so the agenda item is requesting to have the selectmen vote to make Prospect Street a one-way between School Street and Elm Street in the westbound direction. And is there any questions or?
Yeah, I have just a quick question. Can you go back up to the map, that one? So if we're pushing the traffic down to Elm, are you gonna look at that junction at Main Street and East Main Street? If we're pushing more traffic, because it's kind of like an awkward, wide open intersection.
Yeah, so that, I know as part of the East Main Street tip project, that is gonna be tightened up to make it more of a 90-degree to have better sight
Are you
lines.
talking right before you go up the bridge?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that is gonna be tightened up for better sight lines as part of the East Main
Okay,
Street design.
perfect. Thank you.
I would like to make a motion to recommend that Prospect Street be made one-way westbound from School Street to Elm Street as outlined by the town engineer.
Second.
Do we have to read the motion as it's in the packet, because it's very specific with the dates?
So to amend the, to do that, Robert?
Madam Chair,
not in front of me?
I'd respectfully recommend if we could do the motion language.
Yeah, it's right on his agenda items. Here.
I can do it.
Yeah, go ahead and do it.
Okay.
It's right here. Sorry.
I'll make a motion to amend the
Like
traffic
numbered page.
regulations of the town of Ayer adopted on May 23rd, 1939, and effective on July 10th, 1939, by adding Prospect Street westbound from School Street to Elm Street to the list of one-way streets in Article 7, one-way streets.
Seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair says aye.
That sounds nice letter.
Congratulations.
What is the process for that? Do you have to go to the state or anything like that, or is it all local?
No, so this is local
right,
jurisdiction.
great.
So the next step is we have to advertise it, and then we post signage, and then we can enforce it, so.
Great.
And then the last agenda item, which Mark is working on this one, but he's out this week, is the Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness Grant Letter of Support. So as written in the memo, the DPW is applying for a grant from EOEEA, Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs, and it's to prepare a plan for addressing climate change resiliency and implementing priority projects. And the state awards communities with grant funding to complete vulnerability assessments and develop action-oriented resiliency plans. Communities who complete the MVP program become certified as an MVP community and are eligible for MVP action grant funding and other opportunities. And actually, I went to a grant presentation by Division of Ecological Resources, and their grant application asks if you are an MVP community. So it is another advantage to be part of this for other grant opportunities as well. And funding amounts for this for each municipality are based on scope, the need, and community demographics, and range from 15,000 to 100,000. And included in the packet was a letter of support for signature by the board, and it's required for the grant application. Any questions?
There. Looking at the letter. Good to me, I don't have any questions.
No, I'm all set, thank you.
Hmm?
I'm all set, thank you.
Chris?
No. Yeah, is it written up anywhere, or do I just
Grade
need to-
60. See right here. You should do it the other way.
Scott, make that motion for me.
I'll make a motion to support the Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness Grant with the letter that is presented for signature by the board.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair says aye.
So just one.
Yeah, just one. And if you hang out, I'll get that right back to you.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank
Good
you
to see
guys.
you.
Yeah, good to see you too.
Thank you.
Pretty busy night for you.
Yeah. So we should be back on the 19th for signing the contract for Nadu Corporation.
Great. How you guys hanging on with salt down there? I know it's
Doug's doing a good job. He's
Yeah.
keeping it up. Yep. Got a couple of warm days recently.
Yeah.
to
Oh, I know.
yeah, I know
regroup.
there's a couple,
Yeah.
Although, what,
couple days in a
Wednesday?
row that they were up 24/7.
We're supposed to get
The
ice
good news is that
Wednesday
the
night though. Huh?
10-day
It's not
forecast
supposed to freeze.
I know.
shouldn't get too bad,
I know.
you know,
It's
so.
always exciting when you can look in the middle of February. and
All I
see a
can
huge
see is
snowstorm.
like, I'm thinking to myself, ooh, no snow days, no PTO having to be used for snow day.
It's early.
Isn't that- Yeah, it is early. We get buried last March.
Yeah. Thanks, Dan.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Mary, I know you two wouldn't let us start the meeting. Can we continue the meeting? Okay.
The update on the baby.
You missed it. We had to wait a few seconds for the meeting to start.
No.
So it was funny. It was funny. So, all right, Robert.
Madam Chair, members of the Board of Selectmen, good evening. I just have a couple of quick points under the administrative update. You have in the packet all of the warrants that were reviewed, approved, and signed since the board last met. If there are any questions on those. Just a couple of quick updates. I just, again, first want to just stress that after 25 years in the making, it is encouraging that there is a viable bid for the MART project. And I was encouraged by the fact that the MART Advisory Board, which consists of 24 towns and the 3 cities was unanimously supportive of the project, and to hear the mayors and so forth understand the importance of Depot Square specifically. So I am encouraged. I want to thank my assistant, Miss Antonellis, for her help on last-minute efforts with the advisory board as we move forward. And I think that this is a positive step. We still have a lot of work to do, but we'll keep it going. And as I said and have stressed to Mart, the importance for this board and for the town of Ayer is that we have that schedule and that update, and people see that it's moving forward. I also just want to point out a special thanks to our facilities director and our IT director. Finally, we have the second Mondo pad in here. And if you notice tonight on the first floor at each entrance areas, there are also 2 other monitors that will project various announcements, electronic directory, and so forth. And this also ties in with the public notification board that's on the side of the fire station. Another thing that will be completed by March 1st is the town's open space and recreation plan. Again, sort of like the master plan, a lot of delays, but it's finally going to be submitted on March 1st, which is and submitted and accepted by the state, which will then make us eligible for a lot of other grants and so forth. And it's very important to the Parks and Recs program, as well as our various open space initiatives. On February 19th at the BOS meeting, Superintendent Pigeon from the Neshoba Valley Technical High School would like to come briefly just to talk to the board about the assessment, as well as this accelerated roof project that they're proposing, which will require town meeting approval. I've also asked Chief Murray will be coming to give a brief public safety update on the various initiatives of the department and bringing some new personnel with him. Also to give a public update on the radio project. It seems quite some time since we've had an update on that. He'll also be here along with Superintendent Wetzel to talk about the Groton-Harvard Road Central Ave intersection. As we've discussed before, there is a plan to do the design this year on the permanent ideal solution, which is the restructuring, but to talk with the board and get some board input and thoughts on some potential interim improvements while we move forward with this.
Some of the signs.
February 19th.
Yeah, okay.
Yep. So,
Yeah. People can figure out where the hospital is without having a sign there, I can assure you.
Yep. So we will move forward with that. Another thing that we are in the process of putting together, it's been some time since we've done it, Selectman Hood had mentioned this to me, is to create, I'm going to call it a status matrix of the outstanding BOS items for the year. So under new business and so forth, that's where we're deriving a lot of it from. We've talked about a lot of things. Let's get it all, what's done, what's still open, what's partially completed. And it's been a while since we've done that, but I think that will be a useful tool. So I'll get that to the board for further discussion. The working group regarding the marijuana zoning issue has met, had a first meeting. It was a very positive, productive meeting. We're going to be meeting again and should have an update to the board and to other boards shortly on some suggestions and so forth moving forward on that. We're meeting again with Central Ave Compassionate Care regarding their new location on February 11th, a follow-up on the security issues, which to the satisfaction of the chief, I understand it's quite the system, but also the traffic, which is going to require some efforts by the town, but also by Mr. Hillier, and he understands that if there are any details and so forth, that he will fund those. I mean, he is a good corporate partner, but the traffic, we have some challenges there just based on the location, but the goal is for it to be safe and efficient. Tonight, as Selectman Livingston knows, the General Code Group reconvened after 18 months where the town's bylaws and traffic regulations, it took 18 months for General Code to do the legal review, and Ms. Antonellis has organized it. Great for the group, which consists of Selectman Livingston, Chief Murray, Ms. Antonis, myself, and the town clerk now to sort of do the review. The end product will have everything organized, consistent, and all in one place. So I think it's an important project. As we were seeing tonight, there were some things, when you said about 80 years, believe it or not, there were some other things that hadn't been updated and so forth. Ultimately, it will require an act of town meeting to adopt these changes. And the goal of this group is to have that be as clear a process as possible. So we will have more updates from the local group, which is meeting again next week. Two last things before I get into the action items. Superintendent Wetzel and my office, we continue to work with the MPO on the East Main Street TIP project, which they have as 2021, which we continue to maintain as shovel ready, and we'd like to start now, and it ties in as the point you brought up on there. The next step, it will be with Mass DOT, a direct meeting to try to expedite this, because we're getting caught up in the bureaucracy of the TIP, and this project meets all of those criteria, including it's fully funded and it's shovel ready to go. So we will keep the board updated. It may need something from the board on the 19th, but we'll keep you posted on that.
Sorry to interrupt. You had asked about a representative to that, I think, a while ago.
Yes.
Do we need to designate, or can we, when we get closer? I mean, I can commit to going to a meeting, but I don't know if I can commit to going to every meeting. I know I had thrown out there, can we designate it as a board, or?
We have to find out. I appreciate that offer. One of the problems is the MPO that oversees the TIP requires selectmen as the voting members, but it meets during the day out in Leominster. And Ayer's not alone on this. It's a huge challenge to get. It's not, and some of the other rules. So one of the.
Well, wouldn't they have by now realized that it is a challenge, and maybe their lives would even be,
Maybe
a little common sense here, that their lives might even be a little bit easier if maybe, they scheduled like a,
We will do some follow-up, because it's statewide, all of the MPOs run this. I believe that it's inefficient and antiquated.
Tell them to stop doing this power grab and start being, efficient and work for the people.
So,
But,
we will convey that.
I will volunteer to go.
Okay. Yep.
I know you guys can give us a heads up when we actually need to be there.
Okay.
I
So,
think I probably have more of a local
right.
presence.
We have been
area
sending
than
somebody
for
out
you guys.
to every meeting. It's been mostly Mark. Dan is gone. The town planner's gone.
But I mean, when we get to the voting part.
Yeah, so, and we have the support, it's just the bureaucracy, so more to come. And then lastly, we will be opening up the RFPs for the Senior Center Council on Aging feasibility study tomorrow. We already have 2 in, the deadline is tomorrow. And after those are open, we'll discuss with the board sort of next steps. I just want to stress again for the record, the RFP is for professional consulting services to work with the town to look at the whole COA senior center operation, also project trends in the future for future needs, as well as look at some community meeting space and storage issues as well. And there may be a series of recommendations. I know that it's been conveyed out there that we're going to instantly build a new building. That's not the intent. It's to do the feasibility study. Now, most likely, I'm sure a building or construct is usually always a recommendation, but there may be some other recommendations.
Right.
So once we get, after we open the bids, we'll have some updates on next steps. So those are sort of the non-budgetary things we've been working on, and if there aren't any questions on that, I'll go into the action items, which one of them is a brief budget update. So the first is a recommendation for 2 appointments to the Council on Aging, Miss Catherine Faltzgraff and Miss Janine Nickapore. to the Ayer Council on Aging Executive Board, and it would be a term to expire on June 30th of 2019 for each of them. Both have indicated that they will look to be reappointed when we do the reappointments in June, but it would be an appointment for both individuals to June 13th, 2019.
So moved.
Seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Chair says aye.
Great. So, as I did last time, on the FY 2020 budget is well underway. A couple things that I think has worked really well, and I appreciate the board putting this forth, is for the most part, the budget timeline has been a useful tool, and we're on track, and in some areas we're ahead of past years on certain benchmarks. So all of the initial budgets came in on January 4th. I have been meeting with departments, with Ms. Cabri, Ms. Antonellis. I'm finishing that up, which I'll talk about in a minute. Meeting with departments, looking at further efficiencies, reductions, and so forth. The Finance Committee is going to be meeting this Thursday, which I'll be going to also to answer any questions and to update the Finance Committee. I know at that meeting on Thursday, they're going to be talking about meeting with departments and their thoughts, obviously, on the budget. Per our timeline, the deadline for sort of any initial budget comments is February 8th, and we put that in as, you know, folks have had it for about a month, if there's anything that really sort of sticks out initially. So again, if there are any questions or comments or so forth, submit those directly to me, and we can take them some tonight, obviously, as well. Yeah.
I have a quick question. Can I have an extension through Monday for that?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. So additionally, the FY 2020 capital plan at this time is complete. I want to thank the Capital Planning Committee. As Selectman Hillman chaired that committee, met basically all through December, January, and now to put together a good capital plan. We will transmit to the board for the 19th. We're just putting it together, those recommendations in a one-page sort of report. Obviously, in past, it's up to the board if you want to vote to put the capital on the warrant ahead of time. Sometimes we've done it the night of, but the capital is complete. Ms. Cabri, at this time, with it now complete, is taking all of the water and sewer enterprise capital and building that in to the whole rate issue, which I'll talk about in a minute. The negotiations are underway. There were 3 groups. 2 are completed, and I'll be meeting with the board on the 19th. There's 1 group that we're making progress, and I anticipate it to be completed this month. Both school assessments after tonight are in. As I mentioned, Dr. Pidgeon will come on the 19th briefly to talk about the Neshoba Valley Tech assessment. The Minuteman Neshoba Health Group is voting on the health insurance rates on February 13th. So by the time we meet on the 19th, and I'll notify the board in the FinCom ahead of time, we'll have that rate number. The final insurance rates, Ms. Antonellis is working her magic. We'll have that by February 15th, those definitive numbers. On the 19th, I'll be respectfully requesting that the board officially open the town meeting warrant. I've already given departments a heads up. And one of the things, respectfully, I'd like the board to think about, and I'm going to mention this to the FinCom on Thursday, per the schedule, we have set a date of March 27th for a public forum, involving the FinCom, the BOS, a public outreach forum on the budget. I think we're going to be in pretty good shape by then with it almost all pretty much teed up. But I'd be interested to welcome any thoughts, and I'm going to ask when I meet with the FinCom what folks are thinking, what you'd like to see, what you wouldn't like to see, what would be useful as sort of the structure of that forum, and we can perhaps talk about that more under my report too on the 19th. The rate review committee is meeting on February 21st. As I mentioned, now with the capitals work done at this time, Ms. Cabri can factor in that into the potential rate model. The biggest challenge this year, as Selectman Livingston knows, chairing the committee, is obviously with the PFAS appropriation of last year, which we needed to do, and so forth. The water rate model is tight, because that was on, and we're trying to, as always, keep everything within those model parameters. So the rate review, we generally do that at one of the March meetings.
So I think we discussed, well, it's usually either the last meeting in March or it'll be
Right.
the first meeting in April when we have the water sewer rate
Public hearing, yeah, as part of a BOS meeting. There'll be some other recommendations too on that to the board. The committee's recommending a water conservation fee and so forth. So where the budget stands now is, and it's still in a draft form with some major variables in it. It's sitting at about a 6% increase. Now, of course, it's not going to be 6%. There are some major pieces we're waiting for. The general insurance number has a considerable increase, and we're confident we will make some progress on that. I am still meeting with police and DPW on some issues with those budgets, again, that I think will be favorable to our effort. The Neshoba Valley assessment is up 12% this year. That's driven, as you'll see on the 19th, by student population and so forth. The other one, on the Middlesex retirement, we had them in back in November, as the board recalls. There's a 16% increase there, but that assessment moving forward, as we discussed, will begin to come down as we move forward on that, in that direction. So, of course, in looking at the history, I mean, last year, not including the schools, last year the budget went up 3.9%. In FY17, it went up 6.5% without the assessment. FY16, 4.2%. FY15, 4.7%. The takeaway, not to steal your thunder, Selectman Hood, and when you were on the chair of the FinCom, is a question of the sustainability with those increases. I can assure you that it's not going to be obviously 6%. And as we come back on the 19th, we will have there's some huge pieces still in there that we've projected.
The 6%, does that include increases for salaries with contracts and also potential COLA?
It does not include the contracts and the COLA because it hasn't been determined. It includes any of the contractual stuff we know. But the insurance numbers, we always plan for the worst, and we're getting encouraging news there. So we will have a clearer baseline for the BOS and the FinCom by the 19th at the latest. Again, even with, it's not going to be 6%, obviously, but there are some challenges as we move forward in terms of some of the fixed costs and some of the personnel contractual costs, and we can further discuss that as we move forward. But there's also some items in the DPW that need to be removed out and so forth. So that's sort of a budget snapshot for tonight, and I'll be sending to the board and to the FinCom a revised version of the January 4th budget for the 19th. The next item in your packet is the rail trail lot eminent domain takings. As the board will recall,
So it's like that 6 inches or something?
yeah. So, as the board will recall, when we took, this was from the annual town meeting of 2018. Oh, you're going to pull up the map.
Yeah.
So you recall, so when
Google
the
Earth.
so when yeah, Yeah. So when the Commonwealth of Massachusetts originally took the rail trail lot, when they took the land and built the rail trail lot, it went through 3 private properties, their backyards. And when we transferred the lot from the Commonwealth to the town, because they didn't have clear title on it, this issue was outstanding. And the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, as I told town meeting last May, refused to do anything about it. And we spent, really Carly spent about 2.5 years dealing with these people. And so at the town meeting authorized the Board of Selectmen to resolve this issue, which is the 3 lots. And the resolution to the 3 lots is a taking, which is in your packet, is the order of taking. And it's an eminent domain taking, so there is a cost to the damages, as they call it, which totals $31,600, which comes from the funding to resolve all of this issue. So we have, working with town council, have contacted and all of the 3 property owners, and the order of taking before you, with board approval, would be recorded and would resolve that issue.
Is there objection by the landowners?
No, hence the fee.
We've only actually
Well, we
heard,
did a fee on Depot Square too, and it was still ended up in
Right, but
court.
this here, we have waived, all 3 property owners have signed.
Okay, that
That's
was
the
my
difference.
thing.
We have,
Got it.
so if the taking is approved by the Board of Selectmen, they receive their fee. They can't, that's
They
it.
waived
We have the
future
legal.
claims.
no.
Yeah.
No.
What do you mean, no?
Well, technically, they could do what happened at Depot Square, technically, but the appraisals that we had done are we had them checked like 3 times. So they could essentially do I'll take the money now, but I might sue for damages later, but we don't anticipate that in this because the land is so small and so clearly
And plus,
divided
the
from
state
there.
had taken it
Yeah.
years ago anyway, so
They don't
in
even
some
know they're
regards, they
losing
never
it.
had it.
Right, exactly. So just for reference, it's these 3 houses
Mhm.
here, where it drops, where that big slope is technically their land, but it's already paved by the rail trail.
Right.
So,
So it was taken from without them knowing anyway.
exactly. So this, again, as Robert said, it's a condition of the lot coming to us for the project. So this ends that.
It's funny how the state didn't have to do that, but we have.
We
Oh,
know.
and for the record, and it was the last time perhaps my blood pressure went through the roof with DCAM and the DCR. The fact that they know it and refuse to, we've done the right thing. I mean, the property owners didn't even know about it, but that doesn't mean that you don't tell
Right.
them and do the right thing to fix it.
Right.
And yes, and I appreciate Carly's clarification because she's worked on it very hard with town council. All 3 property owners, it's been a positive, in working with them. And the appraiser we used, unlike in the Depot Square situation, was top notch.
Can we go in there?
All right. Any further questions?
No.
Okay, then I will make a motion that the Board of Selectmen approve the order of taking as laid out in the packet and presented by the town manager.
Second.
And by the moderator, it sounded most likely if we approve it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair says aye.
Thank you.
That was a tough one.
It's-
Yeah. Then the last item is the Adopt a Street program discussion. And again, on the 19th, if the board would like, because Economic Development, DPW, they're all going to be here. But I made sort of a administrative decision in the sense that we need a pilot program for this, and all departments agree that, because it has to be a partnership, really with the business community, is to start the Adopt a Street program actually with Westford Road from the Groton Airline all the way down, because all of our industrial and business neighbors are along there. And so I think we should start there, plus it's a main thoroughfare and there's a lot of issues, trash and so forth. So, and there's interest from the business community there to support it. And I'm not saying that there isn't elsewhere.
Right.
So I've asked economic development, but also DPW, and we're in consultation with the police chief, to put this together to do Westford Road as a pilot for this spring and get this going on the ground.
We asked in April, actually.
Right. And move this forward and get it, get it initiated for the spring. And I think we can be successful with that one. The question then raises, and I asked the board, is what other streets, and then there are other ones, as to we get this one up, what other areas could we approach that there would be some kind of, partnership with the business community, or so forth.
I can name Littleton Road, Willow Road, Fitchburg Road. I'm just thinking of the major roads. I mean, like I said before, when you get into residential neighborhoods, if someone throws trash in your yard, you pick it up.
Right. So we've mentioned Westford Road, Littleton Road.
I think it's Littleton Road, and not a hidden 110. Yeah. Fitchburg Road,
Park Street,
Park Street,
Fitchburg
Park
Road,
Street,
West Main.
Yep.
And you can see it. You can see it on Westford Road, and you get the businesses and the residents, and then you get past, let's say, in the McNiff Farm area, and it is just free for all, right through Groton. But obviously that's their issue. But the same with Willow, or all of those major roads. 110 is awful. It's appalling that people would just open the window and throw stuff out. But apparently that's what happens.
And Madam Chair, what we've asked Alan to also incorporate is, obviously these are busier streets, we're gonna need police details.
Sure.
That needs to be factored into the cost of the sponsorship.
Right.
Right.
Because it's not like we're doing a back road somewhere, but,
Right.
so all those things are being factored in to a sponsorship fee.
We had used the inmates for that at one time, and they came out with their van and their arrow, and what happened with that? I know there was some miscommunication between economic development and DPW, and that was before Alan, so that was the previous director.
I think the problem, in the sheriff's community, folks, it's an excellent program. You can ask Dr. Malone.
I don't even get him anymore. Dr. Malone has them booked out. Yeah.
The problem was availability at times, and that was the hardest thing, was scheduling it. We've used them, but then we have to provide a DPW vehicle or oversight on it. Whereas through this program, and it's a partnership, that it removes that piece. In other words, so a force comes in that's funded through the donation on a schedule to do it.
Now, maybe on Littleton Road, we may have to, in Fitchburg Road, we might have to follow a state program. Or
We'll have to check.
I think we talked about following, making up our own.
Yes.
Initially.
So that's why we also picked Westford Road as a pilot, because it doesn't fall under that. Littleton Road is state. Part of Fitchburg Road becomes part of 2A.
Sure.
But absolutely, I think the ultimate goal is these main thoroughfares. And I think if we're successful, which we will be on one, we can use that to leverage moving forward.
Sounds good.
Yeah, it would be great if we could get something rolled up for the spring. And I think, obviously, community service for the high school could get into areas, but that's a safety thing
It's
too.
the safety issue, because I did talk to Dr. Malone previously at your request about it, and their concern is the waiver, the safety.
Would be mine as well, I guess.
Yeah. I also just want to add lastly, Madam Chair, and if there's any other questions, that concludes my report, but you may notice that the tree removal site prep for the community garden has started over near Barnum Road, and that was through an in-kind donation. So just if folks are
You started talking about trees, and I thought you were talking about over here by the bridge.
Oh,
Because
that?
everybody's been talking about the trees.
So
It
Mr.
was a little strange the other morning as I'm driving by going, something's
Yes.
I
different.
did the same thing.
Yeah,
Coming
and you,
this
it's
way.
like every
Yeah.
sci-fi, in my case, it's always every sci-fi
Under the
movie
Bridge
I've
looks
ever
nice, though,
watched,
by the way.
You know, it goes through my head. So, but it looks good, so
Sure, the
good.
MBTA will be on that.
Good news, good news.
Yeah.
What is the plan there? Is it parking?
Yes, so Mr. Hillier has acquired some of that property, so there'll be parking, so he cleared those trees, which is his right, and you are correct, if you look, there's like a
Oh
clear
yeah, the whole
horizon.
skyline, like, it's like,
Yeah.
I drove and I'm like,
But
what
if
happened here?
selectmen or members of the public know, over at Barnum Road, some trees have been removed, that's part of the community garden,
Excellent.
and they secured that as an in-kind
Oh, really?
donation, so,
Since they were here last meeting, right?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
good.
so, thank you all.
Good. All right. Okay, so, under new business. So, off and on, over the last couple of years, this has been kind of touched on as far as internet and air. And it's kind of come up again because Lowell, the city of Lowell held a meeting on January 29th with citizens and business owners on their frustration with, in their case, Xfinity and Comcast, which is also what we have. I do not know the results of the meeting yet. But the intent of the meeting was to get input about the city of Lowell designing, building their own city of Lowell municipal broadband network to provide their residents with fast, affordable internet service. So the state of Massachusetts evidently has grants and which to allowing towns to design and build their own municipal broadband network. And so far, Ashfield, Layton, Mount Washington, Plainfield, Shutesbury, and Windsor have received grants to do this.
Those towns are Massachusetts?
Yeah, I know.
Must be on the lost towns of Route 2.
Yeah.
So this was in the list, but anyway, so I'm like, okay. So I know right now, and this often gets talked about, a lot of people don't understand why do we have the contract with Comcast, which currently expires in 2023. Why can't Verizon and Fios come here and everything? And at the time, I believe years ago, Verizon decided not to, it wouldn't be cost effective for them.
Mm-hmm.
I know that, you know, I had internet with Verizon when I was on Lincoln Street. I moved to William Street, couldn't have Verizon internet because there's no outlet. It's a whole messy situation. You know, I moved one street over. So, also in 2013, prior to the Comcast contract, based on what is on our website, there was a townwide survey and public hearing. So first question would be, will that be conducted the same way again? The current contract expires in 2023. We've talked about over the years town internet. At one point, we were even talking with Mark about lights, having Wi-Fi, and you know, like having, if you conserve energy, you get it ends up being a stronger signal. You know, turned on at certain times. So it's been touched on over the years. Okay. So, have we ever followed through on anything? Has there ever been a follow-up conversation? There could have been, okay? If there was, where do we stand on this? Has the town of Ayer looked into grants the state offers? And if yes, has anyone discussed like a potential timeline? What would be the work that needs to be done as to, and how would this work as far as, you know, a town internet? I know that during the master plan committee hearings and everything, we had touched upon it, but we didn't at the time decide to put it into the master plan, but it was discussed once or twice. So I'd kind of like to see if we could get this looked into, and what would be the long-term, if it's viable, because even with the grant, what would be the cost? What would be the infrastructure upgrades that would need to be done? How would this work in as far as if we did have this, you know, town-wide internet? How do the town sign in? We don't want, you know, any other town signing in. We only want our town to sign in. So it's a whole process. So also, so knowing that we're in the budget process, we're gonna be going to town meeting, everything, I'm not expecting any feedback until this summer. So that gives, so what I'd like is if, a couple questions at least can be answered, but I don't want anyone distracted from the current stuff. And I also want, when some feedback comes back as far as looking into this, kind of a detailed response. I think obviously, I think it is something to do. I think the way to go. I think it could be, it has the potential of being a benefit for a lot of residents who they're not really walking around with their smartphone and doing all their apps. They just need, little Wi-Fi in their house so that they can, get some updates and everything, because that is the way to go. So that's where it comes from. So residents are talking about it, and I was brought to my attention, and so I decided I'll bring it up. Yep.
Madam Chairman, if the town wants to pursue that, I would be happy to volunteer to lead the program, because I am an expert in that world. I've done lots of networks around the world. I know exactly what it would take for us to be an internet service provider, because that's what you're asking. The town to become an ISP.
You're hired.
If you want to do that, I'm happy to.
Yeah, go ahead and get the grant, then go get the rest of the money, and but.
I'll work
Yeah, that's fine. If you want to be a part of the discussion and everything, and I know, Cindy would probably be a part of the discussion and whatnot. But yeah, but I mean, I didn't realize that there might even be grants out there for us to be able to do that.
We like grants.
Yeah, we do like grants. Yes.
Madam Chair, just real quick, so the cable contract expires, but the internet's not part of that?
Well, that gets very confusing,
Right.
because and I'm glad you brought that up,
Yeah.
because even I was getting confused in some of the conversations I'm reading. I'm like, I don't, but I can tell you, when it comes for that contract, I hope we do have some public hearings and whatnot, because there are a lot of people that will complain about Xfinity, Comcast,
Sure.
but to be honest, if we were to move on to somebody else, we'll complain about them too.
Is that
So-
the only offering is Comcast?
It depends on who bids on it, but.
But it
I
does
know-
affect where you get your internet,
Yeah.
because they do have such a stronghold. You really, trying to get internet with anybody else is a little difficult.
And that's why
The
they,
question to
Yeah.
ask first, if I may,
yeah,
is, does the existing contract with Comcast preclude the town of Ayer becoming an internet service provider independently? Because Comcast offers what's called a bundled service.
Yes.
Internet access is what's called an over-the-top. It's part of it, but it's not necessary. As you know in your bills, right? You don't have to
Right.
get internet if you don't want it. It's offered over the top. So I think number one is, does the contract preclude the town of Ayer from becoming an independent internet service provider, not cable TV, none of the other services, just an internet service provider? And I think that's number one question to answer. And if it doesn't, then we can begin the process of analyzing it in seriousness now instead of waiting until 2023.
What's interesting is, so I have Fios out in my corner of the world, but I am not allowed to have, I have Fios phone, I have Fios internet, I am not allowed to have Fios television. I have the whole setup, I have the box, but there's no.
Right, and when I
You're
lived on,
inside the city limits of the town.
Yeah, it comes from
and
Littleton.
That
Yeah.
is exclusive
Yep.
contract. So
Right.
we need to look at the contract and see what it says as far as.
contracts online.
Is it, okay, where
Yeah.
do I find it? On the
Yeah,
website?
so like I
Yeah,
said, I'm,
like
I have
the
Fios, I
APAC.
have the phone,
Okay.
Comcast,
I'll look
so,
at it.
but,
but yeah,
no TV.
but it's a very tangled web.
Oh, yeah.
As far as to even
Oh, yeah.
trying to call any of your cable companies and say, I'd like to lower my bill, and 20 minutes later you're like, I now have a headache, I'll leave
somehow
everything
you
the
and you
way
have
I
10 more
am.
stations.
Yeah, yeah,
so it's right under the Board of Selectmen's page, right on the website.
yeah.
Okay, I'll look at it.
All right.
But this also, but if it does, then we're moving forward to at least 2023, which also realistically could be, depending on infrastructure upgrades or anything like that, we'll get all this process started. So, but what I'd like is, like I said, I'm not asking for any type of feedback immediately, because I don't want anybody distracted from the current stuff that's going on. But, so I'm saying like June.
Gotcha. And we
Okay.
will work with
Sure.
Pat and Cindy and some other folks.
Yeah.
Yep. And if we follow up, we'll touch base.
Okay. Yes.
The world's changing. I mean, we have 5G coming, we have other stuff coming. If you're not gonna do anything to 2023 potentially, there may be other alternatives. I mean, I would love to have Comcast go away. So it's, at least have a choice. So I'm not a defender of them, but, I go through this every frustration of thinking about this. But there are starting to be glimmers of hope that we're gonna have some alternatives that are not gonna be locked in by, cable contracts and other stuff, because they're gonna be 5G, they're gonna be low-hanging satellites.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that because we're not going to be locked into the cable. When all these little apps started and all these other services, it was, a lot of people tried to break free from cable and then had to go back because it wasn't even going to be cost effective. Because I actually sat down and say, well, can I get rid of this and this and this? But like I said, 20 minutes after a phone call to Comcast, who's very pleasant on the phone, I was like, I now have a headache and I'm done. I'm done. Because you can't even disentangle. But 5G hasn't even been approved yet. 5G has to be approved, I believe, by the federal government. They haven't approved it
They're
yet.
gonna move a lot faster than we are.
Right.
It's coming very fast, and the encouraging part is that every telecom wants to come in here and compete.
Right, but my point about the 2023 is that's when the contract currently expires. And I also want to make sure that we do follow what evidently happened before was a public process and hearings and whatnot. So that's to get that out there. But also, if we're going to do this, if it's viable, if we can all afford it, if it'll work, let's get her done right the first time.
And it has to cover the whole town.
It has to cover the whole town.
And if you look at any other cable company, anybody that will come in and say commercially try to do this, they wouldn't say, we don't want to dig trenches to everybody's connections.
Well, the other thing to think about as far as like if we have this internet and everything, it's like some people will be like, well, your town's internet's not download, I don't have a good download rate. Well, then you can go pay extra if you need, to be able to download 600 gigabytes in 5 seconds, which is fine because, some people, depending on what they're doing and working.
Determined entirely. There's 3 ways to connect to the internet from your home. One is using what's called HFC, hybrid fiber cable, okay? The other is what's called ADSL, asymmetric digital subscriber loop, which is just copper wire, and third is what will eventually be point-to-point radio. Those are the only 3 mechanisms that exist. There aren't any. So ADSL, because it's copper wire, the farther you are away from a thing called a D-slam, the slower
Pat,
it goes.
Please do not tell me how to build it.
We need to
Please.
look at what we have.
I know, but you know if you try to explain it, just build it.
But I will be happy to look into it and participate with Ryan.
I think that's great. You guys all huddle, figure this out. And
It's just a broader discussion.
it is, no, but see, evidently the people are very interested in everything, so, which is good. So let's see what happens. Let's get this ball rolling and see what happens. So far, we're very eager. Yeah, so, okay.
Just one more question to the town manager. Is Chief Murray coming? Is that going to be part? Have you discussed that with the department heads? We had discussed at the last meeting having the department heads come. Once
Yes.
a month.
Oh, yeah, I saw it in the minutes, yeah.
Yes, so this will be sort of the first one,
Okay.
but when I met with all of the departments, they're all.
Obviously, we see Mark every meeting.
Right,
Dan.
but they're all on board, and what's helpful for us is that there's a specific topic as well and so forth, but
Yeah.
yes, so we
Okay.
will be moving forward with having departments come from time to time that you don't always see all the time
Mhm.
to give updates and answer questions from the board and the public through the chair.
Cool. Thank you.
All right, so, anything else?
Do the minutes, right?
Minutes are
Minutes
done.
are done.
Okay.
Jim,
Oh, yes, Mary.
can I ask you a real quick question on the regional school?
Yeah?
When we regionalized, we were told that each town is responsible for their own elementary school. So how come every time there's a discussion in the paper, we hear about, well, that's for the regional school committee to decide how we're going forward? Is the Laura White worse, or is the Page Hilltop? But that doesn't make any sense to me. If we're responsible.
I think the paper
for our
keeps
town-
messing it up.
I think the paper's
Huh?
off.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
the jurisdiction of the elementary schools does fall under the regional school district. The regionalization agreement was set up where each town had its own elementary school, but it is under the jurisdiction. Because there are students from Shirley who go to Page Hilltop, there are students from Ayer that go to Laura White. So it is still that jurisdiction. It's just if you think about it in general terms, because, you know, if we were to have costs associated specifically for Page Hilltop, Ayer would be responsible for like 97% of that, and then 3% maybe the responsibility of Shirley, depending on what the foundation enrollment is there. So it is still under the regional school district.
So technically then, we don't have anything.
No, we would
really
have to have
do.
a separate school committee for that, for the elementary schools in each town, for it to be 100% independent of the regional school district.
Thank you very much.
All right, anything else? No.
I was gonna say, motion to adjourn.
Okay.
Hang out if you want.
Seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And the chair says aye. Good night, everyone.